So today I'm going to tell you a story about the early days of riding dirt bikes. And dirt bikes were just in their infancy and they really weren't a dirt bike. And the friend of mine that had a Suzuki 80, his was kind of slow. But his at least had a gas tank in the center with these rubber the knee pads, and then there was chrome shields on the side, and a velveteen seat. And they all had like a luggage rack on the back, like you were gonna really go back off woods with a sleeping bag and all that shit. Everybody ripped that stuff off. But the other guy had a Trail 90, and those were the kind that had a step-through frame, and you lifted up the seat, and you put gas in a gas tank that was underneath your ass. So they really looked kind of femmy, like a moped. And his had a gear changer. You could go from low range to high range with just a lever. Well, the Suzuki had this big sprocket that you put on over the smaller sprocket. So it would only go a certain speed, and then when you wanted to ride it on the road and go faster, you'd take this section of chain out and put it down to the smaller sprocket, and you'd go faster. So the guy with the Trail 90 is way up ahead of us, and he's looking back to see where the hell we are, because he's way up ahead of us. And as he's looking back to see where we are, he didn't realize that we were coming out of the trails and these yards were starting to come, and then we'd ride the trail alongside of the road. Well, there was a pole with a guy wire. I'm thinking he's going like about 45 miles an hour, and this bike hit the guy wire, and this is no bull crap. Both wheels were on the guy wire, and it rolled way up the guy wire until the front wheel dropped off, and he went over the handlebars, and he went up this cable. I mean, pretty far up the pole. But that guy wire is not a nice, smooth cable. It's all these twisted, wires. And when he went over the top, he wanted to protect himself, so he landed on this wire, and it went between his nutsack and his leg as he was sliding up this, guy wire, and we're coming up on him. We see him way up on this guy wire, and all of a sudden he falls to the ground just in a heap. We could even hear the phew as he hit the ground, and he immediately springs to his feet, and he's peeling his clothes off, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And he just had the little tighty whities on. Now this guy was a big dude, but them tighty whities just immediately turned red. It was just filling up with blood. And he's going, oh my gosh, my mom's gonna kill me. And he just picks his bike up, and one kick and it fires back up, and he's on his bike, and he's just going right down the road to get to his mom and dad's house, By then, all the other guys had showed up and go, this friend of ours, I'm not going to use any name, just went up the guy wire and he cut his sack. So we all bomb over to the house, and he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He goes, what am I going to do? He says, I think I got to go to the hospital. He goes, my nutsack is ripped wide open. And this friend of ours, Marty, goes, put some Bengay on it. Put some Bengay on it. And this idiot runs, he's in the bathroom, he grabs his dad's Bengay and he slaps it on. And immediately, I wasn't in there, I was out in the family room area, and you could hear this guy screaming, Marty, I'm gonna kill you! And I know what it's like because I've already, pulled a muscle and got some on there, and it burns. So later on, after everything calmed down, we're ready to take off, and this Marty guy is going to ride on the back of this Trail 90, where it's just a rack on the back that they just put a pad on there. And he's stuffing Oreo cookies in it, because anytime he went to somebody's house, he was always trying to get some free food on him. And he's ralphing these, Oreo cookies in his mouth before we get going. But the guy trying to get back at him for telling him to put Bengay on, it just flew across the road and he dropped into the ditch fast enough where this suspension bottomed out, and this dude just hit bottom and sprang off the top of the rack, and he flew into the field, and this guy kept on going. This guy the dude packing the Oreo cookies in his mouth was like coughing up all these Oreo cookies. We thought he was going to choke to death. And then that was the end of the story.